Hi, it's Pastor Andy with our Friday preview, and we are very much nearing the end of Romans. And some of you may wonder why we have 3 more weeks when you look at the fact that we only have 7 verses left. And you might really wonder why I'm choosing just to preach on the 4 verses that I'm preaching on this week. And I say 4 because one of the verses, if you look closely at your Bible, you're going to find verses 21, 22, 23, and then 25. So what happened to 24? Well, it's in the footnotes. And I'm actually going to talk a little bit about that on why we can still trust these things in next Wednesday's video, daily discipleship video. So you might want to check that out. But for now, we are looking at a few more names that Paul is including in the letter. We have just seen a couple of paragraphs ago, we covered this last month, the way the calendar has worked, but a couple of paragraphs ago, we saw Paul go from chapter 16, verse 3 through verse 15, and we covered through verse 16. We saw him list many names during that portion, and having them greet one another. That was the interesting thing, is that he wasn't greeting them. The instructions were for them to greet one another. Well, now he is in Corinth. He's been in Corinth this whole time, but now here in these last few verses, he sends greetings, or at least those who are with him sends greetings. Paul kind of did that back in chapter 1. And so we have just a few more names here, and we're not going to go through these names like we did back several weeks ago with the other ones to find out some highlights about different people. But what I want to focus on this week is the idea that they were together. That Paul allows these people to send greetings. That Paul records, allows is kind of a strange word, but Paul has them record their greetings. It is recorded not just in a letter to the Romans, although that's exactly what it started out to be, but it was saved. Not just for posterity's sake, but for spiritual sake. It has been saved for us. And so what do we learn from these few names in 3 verses that are here? And then the 4th verse that is tucked off down in the footnotes this week. Well, what are we to learn from that? Is there anything that we can take from that? And I believe there is quite a bit that we can take from that. And ultimately, it's that togetherness, it's the connection, or the word that we use often in the church appropriately is the idea of unity. So, what was the point that Paul had for unity? Why was he sharing the greetings from this group of people that were with him and having them state their greetings to the church so many miles away in Rome? Why might that have mattered? Well, that's what we're going to look at this week in Romans chapter 16, verses 21 through 23, with 24 tucked in there as well. And then next week, we will close the book with the doxology, with this great statement of worship like Paul is prone to do. And then in 2 more weeks, we will conclude Romans. We'll actually conclude that on Hub Sunday, looking at what happened next, and kind of with a little bit of review of Romans, but also what happened next. Where did Paul go? What did Paul do? Did he ever make it to Spain, as he said at the end of chapter 15? We'll look at that in a couple more weeks. So I hope you'll join us Sunday as we look towards the last few verses of Romans chapter 16.